Welcome to the Painting Lines Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things tennis. Join Erik and Aidan in their discussion for updates on news and pop culture, and from hot takes to betting, they've got you covered.
Ready? Play.
Welcome back to Painting Lines. Last week, we gave our takes on some of your guys' questions, and this week we're going to be giving an update on the first week of Wimbledon, essentially through the first 3 to 4 rounds. And to me, this tournament has been a little bit less interesting, at least in my opinion, than the French Open was, just because there's a lot fewer like crazy upsets than we were seeing in the French. And I know, Erik, you kind of like to see the seeds make deeper runs. Like, what do you think of the tournament so far?
Yeah, you're right. I don't mind not seeing any updates. So other than the Eubanks, which he's American, so I like the fact that he's still in. It's also Wimbledon, so this is my favorite Grand Slam of the year. I'm enjoying it so far.
Let's just jump right into it and just talk about the upsets we have seen. I mean, first off, another disappointment for FAA, Felix Auger-Aliassime. Second straight first round exit in a Grand Slam. And I'm just wondering, like, what could be happening to him? I mean, it seemed like he was on this upward trajectory. He's a top 10 level player. I mean, I think he's number 11 or 12 right now, but he's that level of player. Why do you think he's losing so early on in these Grand Slams?
I think he might need to take a look at his team. Like it could be a coaching thing, it could be a fitness thing. Maybe Coach Tony's not getting it done for him like he used to, but I don't know, man. This is so disappointing to see because I was a huge FA fan. He and Denis Shapovalov, two Canadian guys, really making a name for themselves early on in their career, and then just kind of not even plateauing, but going down. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just weird because I think it's not necessarily just a fitness thing. In the French, he lost in straight sets, and then in this one, he lost in 5. So I think that kind of shows that it's just the level he's playing at. I think there's something that he needs to change in terms of maybe it's his tactics. Maybe people have figured out what he's doing in these tournaments. I don't know what it is, but I think something needs to change.
I agree. It could be the tactics. Tennis is one of those things where Gimelstov said it too. Like once you have someone figured out, you can kind of poke holes in their game and figure out how to beat them. Maybe guys are getting used to his playing style. I don't think it's really a quality thing on his part. I think he's just in a rut, like it happens to everyone.
Yeah. And I also think maybe we might be putting too high of expectations on him. But then again, he is a top 10 level player. Like, you kind of have to put the expectation when someone's at that level. We expect that person to make it at least to the 3rd or 4th round, right?
Yeah, I really like that point that you brought up about, maybe our expectations are too high. Because have you ever heard of regression to the mean? Like, remember the Madden curse? Whenever a player is on the cover of Madden, it's usually because they had, their best season, their all that right now. And then after that, it's the Madden curse. They get hurt or they don't perform nearly as well. But it's just part of the natural playing style of someone. Like once they have a fantastic year, that's hard to sustain. So they're going to fall back to what they were usually playing at, which to everyone else's eyes makes them look bad, like they fell off. So maybe that's what's happening to FAA here. Maybe he was playing at the top of his game, early 2021, 2022. And then, he's just kind of going back to how he was before. And because everyone saw that, we all just think, oh, now he's like on the downward trajectory. He's not playing as well. He needs to look at himself. But maybe this is just how he is.
Yeah, it's possible he's like one of those guys that is probably a mid 20 to 30 level player in terms of ranking, but had some good success. Because I was looking at actually his rankings points breakdown, and it looks like in, I think, October or November of last year, he won like 3 tournaments in 3 weeks or something.
Yeah, it was crazy.
He got like 500 ranking points from each of those, I think. And that just sends his ranking up so high. But then if you look at all of his other results, it's not really as impressive. So for that brief span, he was incredibly dominant. So I think we'll see what happens maybe going into next year, depending on how he finishes out this season, where he sort of balances himself out.
Yeah, I mean, I should reach out to his agent. I told you that story, right?
Oh yeah, you like met some guy that knew him?
So the guy I met was at Miami Law School at the time, and he had grown up with Shapovalov and FAA playing tennis. Like this guy played at UM in college, but he ended up not pursuing it. He was saying that he's going to become FAA's agent. So I have his number. I should shoot him a text, see if that actually happened. Because we've been going back and forth. Like we'll text here and there, like, oh, you see Felix? You see Felix? So I haven't talked to him in probably like 6 months now. So that'll be pretty funny. I'll keep you guys posted.
Imagine if he came on our next as our next guest.
Yeah, yeah, we should. We should get him on. That's a great idea.
Yeah, so up next, Rude eliminated in round 2. But for me, I think that wasn't too surprising, to be honest. I mean, everything I was seeing about Rude in the weeks leading up to Wimbledon really seemed like he didn't care that much. I mean, obviously he cares, but it seemed like he felt that grass isn't my surface. I don't think I'm going to do well in this tournament. I'm not going to be super intense about it. I remember that he has that famous quote, like grass is for playing golf or something like that.
Yeah, someone asked him, "Oh, so how do you plan on getting ready for Wimbledon?" He goes, "Oh, well, Wimbledon's played on grass. I guess what I'll do is I'll play some golf." And yeah, you're not winning the tournament with that mindset.
Exactly. Like we talked about last week, like the big thing we talked about with Rude was his mindset. And to me, it's really a thing where he knows that's not his expertise, but I think his mindset should be, if he wants to be that next level player, he should be, I need to improve on this, almost even more locked in for Wimbledon than he was for the French, because on the French, he knows he's strong already. In Wimbledon, it's not necessarily his strength. So you'd think he would be more locked in. I need to do really well in this, rather than, oh, I'm not good at it. I'm just going to play and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about that. I don't hate this move on his part. I know I go back and forth on Rude and his mindset. I'm pretty tough on him, but dude, good for him. He made it to the final of the French Open. He's played great, this year. He'll probably make a deep run in the US Open. He can afford to just kind of take Wimbledon off, maybe spend some time with his family, play some golf, spend some time in Norway. Like, I don't hate this move. I think he's kind of just hanging out. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, he was at like a bunch of The Weekend or
Oh
someone's
yeah.
concerts in
That
Norway.
was so funny.
Yeah.
That video of him. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I
Why
just
don't you tell the fans what video we're talking about?
you can describe it.
All right, it's just Casper Ruud, probably drunk, like lip syncing and singing so emotionally to the weekend right now, like grabbing his chest, putting his hands up in the air. And he knew someone was filming him too, because he was making eye contact with the camera. It was just a funny video, and it was great to see him having a good time. And I don't know why this made me think of David Goggins. Like I am reading that book right now, but just two totally different people, like you kind of referenced it earlier, like he should be more locked in now because he fell short in the French Open, but it's just not him. Like I think it's just two different types of people, and he falls into he's content with he's successful. He's content with that. He's not trying to be the best of the best.
Which Goggins book? Can't Hurt Me?
Can't hurt me. Yeah.
It's a good one. It's a real good one.
Did you read it?
Yeah, I did.
Dude, I'm like halfway through chapter 4 right now, and I am juiced up.
Dude, Goggins, I love him, but he's not a tennis player. So
Yeah, let's get back
let's
to
let's
it.
get back to it. But yeah, I just think I don't want to be harsh on Rude. I think he is a great player, but I just think that he should have been a little more focused on it. Maybe. I mean, he got that big paycheck from making the final of the French, so
Yeah.
he's not that stressed about like having enough money right now. So it's. But I just think he should have been a little more locked in, because he's the only person of the top 8 seeds that's been eliminated from the tournament so far.
Yeah, that's not a good look. But also grass is the shortest season of the year. Like it's what, maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
100%, yeah.
It is in his benefit, economically speaking, to not waste time training for that and like doing something that's not your best. Like he's best on clay and hardcore.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the opposite of Curious. He sits out the whole clay season. I don't see why Rude can't essentially sit out the grass season.
Yeah. It is funny though, because grass is like it borderline isn't even a season. It's like a month.
Yeah.
And literally for Djokovic, even though he wins Wimbledon, has won it the last four years or whatever,
Yeah.
Djokovic's grass court season is literally just Wimbledon.
Yeah.
He goes French Open, Wimbledon, and then goes into the summer hard court season.
Right, right. I think we talked about this last week or the week before, but grass at Wimbledon isn't what it used to be. It plays more like a hard court nowadays. So I feel like players don't really need to have too much time to prep for Wimbledon. Like that's why the season's so short.
Yeah. Especially Djokovic, who has like a lot of experience on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the younger players, because obviously it's not exactly the same, like there's a little bit of a
No, no, no.
difference.
Uh-huh.
So, like the younger a player is or the less experience they have, the more they need to have those build ups like Queen's Club or Hall or
Mm-hmm.
Mallorca. They need to play in those tournaments to prep for Wimbledon. But like the really experienced guys can just go jump straight into it.
Yeah. Speaking of Mallorca, did you see Nadal and Federer? I think it was 2008 or nine, around there. They played a Battle of the Surfaces match where half the court was clay, half the court was grass. I
Yeah.
don't know how I didn't know about that till last week.
Oh, it's a famous match. Yeah.
What the heck?
It was
And
really it's really weird though because I think that it really favored Nadal to be honest. I think Nadal is significantly more dominant on clay than Federer is on grass.
yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, you could see it in the stats too.
It's a situation where while it hypothetically balances, it doesn't really
I was gonna
because
say, how does it work with? So would Nadal be, I guess, benefited when he's playing on the or on the grass side and hitting onto the clay side because of his topspin? Who's at the advantage there?
like when Nadal is on clay and Federer is on grass, Federer is essentially screwed because Nadal has all the chance to get
Hmm.
to every single ball.
Yes.
And
Okay.
Federer is still getting those hard skips that you get on grass.
Gotcha.
And when Federer's on clay, he's just not as like he's great on clay, but he's
Hmm.
not quite the same level of getting to every ball that Nadal gets. So Federer has to deal with Nadal's hard topspin shots that are great on clay too, and he's not getting to as many of them as Nadal is.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. All right, let's get back to Wimbledon. Fritz is also out of the tournament. He was supposed to make a deep run. I was
Yeah.
kind of bummed out about that.
Yeah, blew a two-set lead to Yimmer. And
Oh man.
I just think it's a situation where tennis is very momentum based a lot of the time. And I
Uh-huh.
think what happened is he went up those first two sets and then he lost the third set and kind of got a little shaky probably and got beaten.
Yeah, just pendulum swings. I mean, it's super disappointing because there was a lot of hype with Fritz, Tommy Paul, Tiafo going into this tournament. How it's like, okay, like we can actually prove ourselves, or I'm saying we because I'm also American, but they were supposed to have a deep run and it just never panned out. So another funny thing I wanted to bring up was Tommy Paul and Taylor Fritz both have influencer girlfriends, and they were just nonstop posting about being at Wimbledon. Like Wimbledon is essentially I would say more of like a pop culture fashion event too. Like the elite of elite from England like go to this tournament, it's a social scene.
The
And
royalty and stuff
the
too.
royalty, right? So, yeah, you have a lot of famous people making appearances too. I know David Beckham always shows up in like a nice three-piece suit. Federer was there too. Anyway, the point I'm getting at is maybe these guys are distracted with their girlfriends, like Taylor Fritz's girl, she was doing a series, like a literal series where she would go around with a microphone talking to people at Wimbledon, asking about their outfits, how they were inspired. And then he was also featured in it. She was talking to him about his outfit. So I just think it's like distance yourself from that. Like if that is the way these tournaments are going to go, maybe leave your girlfriend at home, because it's clearly not helping.
Yeah, super complex outfit for the players, all white.
Yeah. Oh, I think she asked him, she goes, "What was your favorite tennis outfit
Oh,
this year for you?" And he goes, "Definitely the French Open."
yeah. I just think it's something where you want to be focused on the matter at hand, which is winning your matches. But
Yes.
I don't know. I don't really follow that stuff, so I can't tell how much they were impacting them.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm here for. I got you, Aiden. I told you we'll bring you everything from pop culture to stats.
Exactly.
Painting Lines
Exactly.
has it all.
Exactly. Yeah, so moving on from the upsets, some of the other things to note, Djokovic just rolling through. I mean, we kind of expected it,
Hmm.
but has yet to drop a set through the first three rounds. He's playing Hurkacz, I think, actually right now.
Yeah, right now. Uh huh.
We'll see how that goes. I think Hurkacz could do well. He could get a set or two. but I still think Djokovic is going to push through that match and still going to be the favorite.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully he's still eating the grass. I actually haven't gotten to see Djokovic play a match yet this Wimbledon. I don't know, like his schedule hasn't really worked out with mine. I've been at work. I've been checking it, but no, I'd love to see him kind of make it to the finals again.
Yeah, he looks pretty good. But looks like he's strong.
Do you think we could see another matchup between Mateo and Djokovic?
I mean,
Are they in the same side of the draw?
no, they're not, because the
Ooh.
next thing I was going to bring up is that Berrettini has kind of had a little bit of a return to form. I mean, he lost a bunch of points, and so his ranking isn't feeling that great. But then he comes into Wimbledon, and he's through to the fourth round up against Alcaraz in the fourth round. So this is going to be his big test. If I think for both of them, it's going to be a tough match. When you're looking at that matchup, it could be winner of that match makes the final.
I think so. I mean, did you watch his match with Zverev yesterday? Easy, 3 sets, cruised by him.
Yeah. So I mean, grass suits him. Maybe he was just injured. I mean, we definitely talked about how he wasn't doing so hot, but obviously a lot of the stuff we say is just speculation. So
Yeah. I mean, I think it's possible that that could be the final. I really like Berrettini on grass though, with his massive serve and super heavy forehand. It's just his surface. That's where he does the best.
yeah, and it's a cool thing because I think it makes all the surfaces feel important in terms of how the overall season goes. Because
Mhm.
there are guys that are really good on clay courts. Think of like Cerundolo, really did great on clay courts. And then you come on a grass court and you have guys that are like the big servers that all of a sudden this grass really just benefits them a lot, like Bublik or Berrettini.
Yeah.
These are the guys that are doing really well on grass. And I mean, like if you look back into the past, Sampras, the big server, Wimbledon was his backyard. He just dominated there. And so you see how each of the surfaces has the guys that stand out on it. And then on hard court, it's kind of just overall how balanced someone's game is.
Yeah, no, that's a great analogy right there. I mean, speaking of Berrettini, a few episodes ago when we did that topic on like whether or not we think players have peaked, and I said Berrettini may have blown his only chance at a Grand Slam. I really hope he proves me wrong here. I want him to make me eat my words because I really like him as a player, and I never thought I'd see him do this well again. So I'm very happy for that.
Yeah, I mean, even like a couple of weeks ago when he got beaten like 6-1, 6-2 by Sonego, I was like,
Oh yeah,
come on, Berrettini.
that was on grass too.
I guess he just needed to lock in.
Yeah. Well, how about the last American left?
I know Eubanks is the last American in the draw, and I'm just thinking like grass must be his surface. I mean, he won
Yeah.
in Mallorca, and I think it was his first ATP title. Now he's in the fourth round, coming up against Tsitsipas. The thing is like Tsitsipas has not had an easy run so far. I mean, he had a 3-setter in his most recent round, but 2 5-setters to start off, and I think that if Eubanks plays well, he has a decent chance against him.
Yeah, I do too. I don't want to get too much into this match because it is my bet of the week. Little spoiler. But
Okay.
yeah, I really like we were talking about big serving and faster paced shots. Like this is Eubanks' surface. I didn't really know too much about him. I still don't. I'm very intrigued though with his performance here.
100%. Also, I mean, matchup today, we had a repeat of the Hall final, Rublev and Bublik. This time, different result. Bublik loses in 5 sets. Rublev was up, and Bublik wins 2 sets in tie breaks. And that's just got to be kind of demoralizing for Rublev. So the fact he was able to fight through in that fifth, pretty impressive about his sort of mindset.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think we saw the shot of the tournament in that match. It was insane. So you know how we talked about before, Rublev just kind of sits back on the baseline and rips forehands.
Yeah.
So he was up 5-4 last set. He got the break the game before, and he was up 30-15, I want to say. And he is just pounding Bublik, like chasing him from corner to corner. And Bublik actually gets back to the middle and rips a shot down to the left hand corner of the court. And Rublev extends full dive and pokes the ball like the stab shot. And Bublik doesn't even react to it. He thinks he had already won the point, started celebrating. And then when it comes back to the other side, he's just in disbelief. And then the point after that, boom, ace for the match.
That's awesome. I'm kind of glad Rublev won because I think he's a great personality, and I think he could do well going into the next match. But also, he's likely playing Djokovic in the next match, so this could hurt him, to be honest. Having that tough five-setter like that.
Yeah, so the highs have been high this tournament, the lows have been super low. I hate to see Murray go out like that in
Oh.
what could be his last Wimbledon.
I mean, did he say anything about this being his last Wimbledon? Because
Yeah, he did. He did. He hinted to it. I hope it's not. Like I can see him just saying that to kind of build more suspense for when he does decide to come back. People are gonna be, oh my God, he's back. But it's super unfortunate the way he went out there. He was up before they had to suspend play and resume the next day. And then it was 4-4 in the fourth set. He was up 15-30. Stefanos was serving. And Murray had a sweet backhand return that was called out, but later on was confirmed it was actually in. And instead of having 2 break points in that set, he ended up losing that game, losing the set, and then ultimately losing the match in a fifth set. So who knows what would have happened if they made the correct call. We could have Murray still in the tournament today.
yeah,
And that just goes back to our age old question: should technology be involved in the game?
yeah. I mean, that's a situation where like a bad call actually significantly changed the match because you have a good backhand return and you hit a winner and
Mm-hmm.
you have 2 break points. You have good momentum. If you convert 1 out of 2 points, then all of a sudden you're going to have a shot to serve for the match. That's a lot of momentum, and especially given that it was the first set of the day, like he kind of lost a lot of that momentum going into the night, I feel like. But if you make that break, I think Tsitsipas may have. We know he sometimes doesn't have the strongest mentality. I think he may have folded and lost that match. But it's not how it goes, and that's a situation where I think, yeah, the technology would definitely have helped because what do the line judges really do that a machine can't do?
Yeah. No, I know, and it's pretty funny because remember back in the day with McEnroe yelling at the Wimbledon umpires and just looking at the line judges. I don't know, they're not as old as they were back then, but in the 80s, you would see some of them looking like they were like 80 years old with thick glasses. Just like, come on, is this guy really making the right call?
You cannot be serious.
Yeah, chalk flew up.
Yeah, exactly. But
Oh,
yeah,
classic. All right, should we get into segments?
sounds good. What's new in tennis? What'd you see?
Oh, so I have some tabloid tennis updates. Just to follow up on my update a couple weeks ago about Stefanos Tsitsipas and Paula Badoza dating. So we found out how that relationship started. It started with Tsitsipas sending her a text message to congratulate her on her French Open win against Ons Jabbar. Um, Pretty funny, Stefanos. Pretty sure he had a girlfriend at the time too, so little sneaky guy. And just kind of along those lines, there has been a little bit of tension between Tsitsipas's dad and Badoza. Like, there's a video that went viral of them all in the players' box. Petros, his brother, his dad, Paula, and Stefanos's dad kind of like looks back at Paula and then gives her a little bit of a glare. And then the next 10 seconds in the video, she's just looking like sneering at him, kind of like passive aggressively keeps checking him out. So he's a pretty intense guy. I really wonder what happened and what that dynamic was all about. Because I think that could impact his Stefanos's focus and his play too.
Yeah,
But
I mean, having more people to think about in his box can't be good for him. I mean, I think he needs to spend his time being mentally locked in on tennis.
yeah, exactly. Also, Badoza had to pull out of Wimbledon with a back problem the day that Stefanos beat Murray. Don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but maybe some celebratory
Oh my god.
injuries.
Oh my god.
All right.
Okay.
What about you? What did you see?
Yeah. By the way, you brought up Ons Jabeur. One thing I actually did see was she had like a press conference
Mhm.
after one of her matches, and just nobody showed up to it.
Oh,
I'm like,
what?
that's crazy that happened. But yeah, one thing I saw was last week. Obviously, a big part of the episode was about the mindset going into a match and like expecting to lose because we were talking about Rude, how he made those comments about losing to Djokovic. And this week, Wawrinka, before he played Djokovic, he made these comments to the media saying like, "Oh, I have no chance of winning against him," pretty much. And then
Mhm.
after he lost to him, he was like, "I'd be astonished if anybody could beat him." And to me, I just think like it's another situation, kind of like Rude. Like even if you don't think you can win, you kind of have to at least try to embody the confidence, right? I mean, like, does Wawrinka get a pass because he's like a little bit older and he's past his prime, whereas like maybe Rude doesn't because he's in his prime? Like, is there a level where you give Wawrinka a break for saying that? Like, what do you
I
think?
do. Yeah, I think he gets a pass. He's kind of like you said, he's at the end of his career. He's just going out there to have a good time. I don't think he's a serious contender of winning a tournament. So yeah, he gets a pass. It's pretty funny you mentioned that because one of my buddies who's actually from Switzerland texted me before the match because we were talking about the podcast and everything. And then he's like, "Hey, you think Stan has any chance today?" I'm like, "Nope, absolutely not.
Yeah,
Zero
Stan.
chance."
Stan doesn't think Stan
Yeah,
has a chance.
yeah.
All right, sounds good. You want to get into bet of the week?
Yeah, bet of the week. So we kind of alluded to this earlier, but I'm taking Eubanks plus 250 over Tsitsipas. Some serious value in this bet. Tsitsipas was minus 350. If it was better odds, I probably would have taken Tsitsipas, but I like the Eubanks bet because first of all, like he's got nothing to lose here. This is the furthest he's been in a Wimbledon slam, and Stefanos on the other end is playing someone who's a much lower ranking than they are. There's a lot of pressure with that, playing someone worse than you. Like you also said, he's not had a very easy draw, a couple five setters. I just think Eubanks is going to go out there, play loose, play fast, and essentially play with no pressure. But it will come down to how well Tsitsipas can play against the serve and volley because Eubanks is a very much like he will come to the net and maybe Tsitsipas will be able to adjust, maybe not. I just think there's going to be a lot of tight sets and a lot of tiebreakers.
Yeah, I think that's a good bet because I completely agree with what you're saying about Eubanks being able to play fast and loose. I mean, he's going into the match and nobody's expecting him to win, really. I mean, like,
Right.
people are rooting for him, but the expectation is that Tsitsipas is going to win this match.
Mhm.
Eubanks is going in there and he has really not that much pressure on him. So I think that's a good call.
Yeah, sweet. Thank you. Hopefully it works out.
Yeah.
Who are you taking this week?
My bet of the week is Runa plus 140 over Dimitrov.
I like that.
Yeah,
I
to
like that a
me,
lot.
it kind of seems crazy that Rune would be the underdog. I mean, I guess he doesn't have as much experience. Dimitrov has been playing really well. He hasn't dropped a set yet, and Runa just had that five setter against Davidovich Fokina. So he's maybe a little bit more tired, but he's also so much younger. He's been playing great in 2023,
Mhm.
and I just think that you really shouldn't be putting the sixth seed as the underdog against Dimitrov. Like Dimitrov is a good player and he's had experience in these big matches, but I think he's a little bit past his prime, and I think it's a little bit almost like favoritism by the sports book. Like people are
Mhm.
like, "Oh, Dimitrov used to be really good and he's playing pretty well. I think he's the favorite." I think you have to give Runa the favorite here because he's just been in so much better form. So I think it's a great bet, especially considering he is the underdog.
Yeah, and I think it's good that you locked it in when you did at plus 140 because I think as it gets closer to the match, it'll start evening out. I think Vegas will see that pretty much everyone's going to be taking Runa on this and then try to even out the odds.
Yeah, balance it.
Mhm.
All right, you want to get
Uh,
into match of the week?
let's do it. So I had the battle of the backhands. Stefanos Tsitsipas outlast Dominic Thiem, which wasn't really what we were expecting, huh? Like I know we were talking about it before the match. I said, "Hey, look at this draw. Like sucks for both of them." And you say, "Yeah, it pretty much only sucks for Steph because teams like he's not really a force to be reckoned with."
Yeah, I
But
I didn't have the I didn't have the highest expectations for Team going into this tournament. We haven't really seen him play that great recently. And then
no, he did though. Couple stats just with this match. So this brings their head-to-head record 5-5. So I didn't realize that before Madrid. Yeah, well, actually, before today, that team was up on the all-time head-to-head records, but Tsitsipas won the last two, Madrid, and then here in Wimbledon. It was really nice to see the players team and Tsitsipas become a lot more aggressive as the match went on. They were starting to come to the net. They were hitting nice volleys, hitting drop shots. You know, we saw some well-crafted points where people would hit some nice approaches and then follow it up with a nice winner volley. And then this one actually stuck out to me. So in the two sets that team won, he had won 100% of his second serve points, and on his losing sets, he was between 50 and 60%. So I don't know too many people that win 100% of their second serve points. It should be, I mean, to me, it kind of seems like the opposite should be happening, but seemed like the crowd wanted team. Unfortunately, he could not pull it out, but I like both players, so I'm happy either way.
Yeah, that's a crazy stat, winning 100% of your second serve points. But to me, that almost sends the message that Tsitsipas wasn't being aggressive enough in those two sets, essentially. Because
exactly.
Yeah, the second serve is usually like it's not a pot shot, but it's not something that should put you on the defensive as a returner.
Unless you're playing against Bublik. Did you see he had 135-mile-an-hour second serve today?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, that's why he's so hard to play against, because he'll hit an underarm serve and then he'll pump a 135 or second serve.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Dustin Brown, I want to say, when he played against Nadal.
Mm-hmm.
He came into this match, and I think like he may have served the first service game, and he serves like a first serve and it's out, and then he serves a second serve and it's like just as fast as his first serve, and you're like, okay, so this dude just hits two first serves, I guess.
Wow. All right, who was your match of the week?
Rune beating Davidovich Fokina 6-3, 4-6, 3-6, 6-4, 7-6. And it was 10-8 in that tiebreak at 6-6 because they play the 10-point tiebreak in the fifth.
That's what it was.
But back and forth match, really tight throughout. And at 5-4 in the fifth set, Rune saved 2 match points, forces it to the tiebreak. And then he was actually also down 8-5 in the tiebreak and fought back. But the craziest moment of the match was at 8-8 in the tiebreak. Fokina tried to hit an underarm serve, and it did not work at all. And so Rune won the point and then won the next point on his serve and took the match. And there have been like a bunch of articles that were just talking about hitting an underarm serve. Like, if it works, you look like a genius. Mm-hmm. But if it doesn't work, you look like such an idiot, especially at such a critical point in the match. Like, I feel as though whenever you see Kyrgios really hit an underarm serve, it's at like 40 love. Or if he's hitting a between the leg shot, it's at 40-15 or whatever it is. But it's not at deuce in the fifth set. Like, it's in a situation with way less pressure than 8-8 in the fifth set. So,
jeez. Yeah, did you also see, I'm pretty sure Rune kicked out his mom and his coach from the match.
Oh my God. Again?
Yeah, my dad sent me this article, which was in Norwegian, so I couldn't read it. But he's like, yeah, he kicked out his mom and his coach.
Yes, yeah.
to focus.
A classic. I mean, maybe Tsitsipas needs to do that. Kick out his girlfriend and his dad.
Yeah, keep Petros in there.
Yeah, exactly. Keep Petros just for moral support.
Partner. Yeah. All right, and that's the show. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Painting Lines Podcast. Feel free to shoot us a DM or email us any questions or thoughts at paintinglinespodcast@gmail.com.